Alright, picture this. It's a scorching afternoon at Al Hadid Air Base, somewhere deep in the Iraqi desert. The kind of heat that makes your boots feel like they're melting into the tarmac. I'm Staff Sergeant Emily Fuel Harper, standing by a fuel truck, guiding a hose into an F-15's tank with the kind of focus you'd expect from someone defusing a bomb. 2 years ago, I was a different person, Captain Harper, one of the fiercest A-10 pilots in the game, with a kill count that made insurgents think twice before poking their heads out. But one mission gone wrong, a friendly fire disaster over Ramadi, left me with nightmares so bad I couldn't even look at a cockpit without my hands shaking. So here I am, grounded, pumping fuel, trying to forget the sky until 250 fighters decided to storm our base in the middle of a sandstorm. And I had to decide whether to stay broken or fight back. Let me take you back to that day. The air's thick with dust, the horizon's just a brown smear, and I'm topping off an F-15 for Lieutenant Jake Razor Mitchell, a cocky kid who's barely old enough to rent a car, but flies like he was born with wings. He hops out of the cockpit, wiping sweat from his brow, and tosses me a grin. "Fuel, you ever miss being up there?" he asks, like it's just casual small talk. I shrug, keep my eyes on the hose, and mumble something about clean fuel being the real hero. Truth is, every time I see an A-10, my chest tightens. Memories of smoke, screams, and radio silence from my wingmen who didn't make it back. I push it down, focus on the click of the hose locking into place. Across the ramp, Master Sergeant Tom Wrench Carter's barking orders, his gravelly voice cutting through the heat. He's been keeping planes flying longer than I've been alive, and he's got this look when he sees me like he knows I'm hiding from something bigger than a fuel truck. Then the radio crackles. Airman First Class Sarah Combs Nguyen, our resident tech whiz, comes jogging over, her face all business. We're picking up chatter insurgent groups, multiple cells, talking timelines and targets. Intel thinks they're planning something big. My gut twists, not just from the news but from the old instincts kicking in, the ones I've spent 2 years burying. "They mention the base?" I ask, keeping my voice steady. Sarah nods. "They're calling it the Falcon's Nest and something about burning the fuel. Sounds like they're coming for us." Wrench overhears, his frown deepening. "If they hit the fuel farm, we're grounded. No planes, no fight." I glance at the horizon, where the sandstorm's building like a wall, and I know what it means. Zero visibility, jammed comms, and a perfect cover for an attack. I'm supposed to be a fuel tech, not a tactician, but my brain's already mapping out vulnerabilities: fuel lines, aircraft ramps, command post. By the time I get to the command post, it's buzzing like a kicked hornet's nest. Colonel Laura Hawk Bennett's at the center, her eyes scanning a map of the province like she's playing chess with lives. She's a Desert Storm vet, tough as nails, but fair, and she's got this way of making you feel like she sees right through you. "Harper, good to have you," she says, waving me over. "Your pilot days give you a unique angle. Tell me how you'd hit us if you were them." I hesitate, the weight of her trust hitting me hard. I trace the map, pointing out the fuel farm, the aircraft revetments, the comms hub. "I'd wait for the storm," I say, "blind your air support, cut your comms, then hit the fuel to keep you grounded. It's a chokehold." Captain Mia Eyes Rodriguez, our intel officer, nods, her fingers flying over intercept transcripts. That tracks with their chatter. Wait for the desert to rise. They're planning a siege, not a raid. My heart's pounding now, not from fear, but from something I haven't felt in years: focus, the kind that used to guide me through a gun run at 300 knots. At 2:47 a.m., the first explosion rips through the night, a satchel charge blowing a hole in the perimeter fence. The base alarm screams, and Staff Sergeant Nate Shield Dawson's voice crackles over the radio, calm but urgent. "Contact, Sector 6 squad-sized element. Engaging now." Muzzle flashes light up the storm like fireflies, and I'm in the fuel bunker, coordinating with my team tech Sergeant Danny Gear Lopez and Airman Basic Chris Rookie Evans. Danny's a wizard with systems, but even he's sweating as another blast shakes the bunker. "They hit the main generator," he says, cursing under his breath. "We're on backup power 4 hours, tops." Rookie's eyes are wide, his first deployment turning into a nightmare. "What do we do, Sarge?" he asks, gripping his rifle like it's a lifeline. I want to tell him it's going to be okay, but another RPG slams into the fuel storage, and I know we're in deep. The radio's alive with chaos. Nate's team is pinned down. Mia's reporting coordinated assaults across 3 sectors, and Jake's F-15 took a hit, limping back with hydraulic failure. I grabbed the radio, my voice slipping into the old pilot cadence. Razor, this is Fuel. What's your fuel state? He sounds shocked to hear me. Fuel? Hell, thought you were just pumping gas now. I've got 10 minutes left. Right engine's coughing up metal. I glance at the tactical display, my brain calculating approach angles like I never left the cockpit. Razor, Vector 190 for the taxi waits your only shot. I'll talk you down. Colonel Bennett's voice cuts in, sharp. Harper, runway's compromised. Can you make this work? I nod, even though she can't see me. Yes, ma'am, I've got him. Guiding Jake through the storm feels like flying again, every word a lifeline. And when his wheels hit the taxiway with sparks flying, I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. But the enemy's not slowing down. Mia's intercepts confirm they're led by Khalid al-Masri, a former Iraqi officer turned insurgent mastermind, and he's brought heavy hitter Syrian commandos, even a Russian merc named Viktor Petrov, moving like they've studied our playbook. They're not just blowing stuff up, they want our planes intact for the propaganda win of a lifetime. Danny reports damage to the fuel lines, and Nate's team is running low on ammo. I look at Rookie, barely 19, his hands shaking but his jaw set. Sarge, you were a pilot, can't we get a plane up? It's the question I've been dodging, the one that makes my chest ache with memories of Ramada-burning wreckage, unanswered radio calls. But then I hear Nate's voice, strained. Fuel farms next, they get that. We're done. Something snaps inside me. I turn to Danny. Can you hold the fuel systems without me? He nods, knowing where this is going. For a bit, but don't do anything stupid. I grab my gear, check my sidearm, and head for the revetments. Wrench is there, prepping an A-10, his eyes meeting mine like he's been waiting for this moment. She's fueled and armed, he says, patting the nose. You sure about this, Fuel? I'm not sure of anything, but I climb the ladder anyway, the cockpit smelling like fuel and electronics, a mix that used to be home. My hands shake as I strap in. The controls familiar but heavy with ghosts. Hog 09, requesting takeoff. I radio, my voice steadier than I feel. Colonel Bennett's response is firm. Negative. Harper weather's below minimums, and your medical status says no flying. I grip the throttles, the turbines whining to life. Respectfully, ma'am, lives are on the line, and I'm not asking. The A-10 roars down the runway, lifting off into a storm that's trying to tear me apart. At 2,000 feet, I see them Victor's team, moving like wolves toward the revetments, their infrared signatures glowing on my display. Khalid's voice breaks through on an open frequency, his English clipped and arrogant. American defenders, surrender your aircraft, and we'll spare your lives. Colonel Bennett shuts him down cold. We don't negotiate with terrorists. I roll into a dive, the GAU-8 cannon humming, and let loose on Victor's position. The 30mm rounds tear through their line like a buzzsaw, scattering his team. Direct hit. I radio, banking hard to avoid anti-aircraft fire. Nate's voice comes back, almost laughing. Fuel, you just unpinned us, keep it coming. For the next hour, it's a dancing in the sky, picking off command posts, trucks, anything that moves with purpose. Mia's feeding me targets, Sarah's keeping the ground crews supplied, and Rookie's spotting from a bunker, his voice steady now. Khalid tries to rally his forces, screaming over the radio about a $50,000 bounty on my plane, but every time they reposition, I hit harder. Victor's voice cracks through, bitter but impressed. American pilot, you fight like a demon. I smirk, diving again. You picked the wrong base, pal. By the time I target their convoy fleeing toward the border, their dun vehicles burning, soldiers waving white flags. I strafe the trucks, not the men, giving them a chance to surrender. Khalid's final transmission is a defeated plea for medical aid, and Colonel Bennett promises Geneva Convention treatment. When I land, the base is quiet, the storm clearing to reveal a sky full of stars. Wrench is waiting, grinning like a proud dad. Knew you still had it, Fuel. I climb down, legs shaky but heart steady, the ghosts of Ramadi finally silent. 3 weeks later, I'm back at the fuel truck, watching Jake prep for a mission. He jokes that the A-10 flies better since I took her up, and I laugh, feeling lighter than I have in years. Colonel Bennett calls me to her office, laying out options. Go back to flying, stay with fuel ops, or take a hybrid role test pilot, maybe, or training newbies with my mix of skills. I haven't decided yet, but for the first time, it's a choice, not a cage. What hit me hardest wasn't the battlite, was realizing I'd been fighting myself longer than I fought Khalid's men. That night, every one of us, Nate, Sarah, Rookie, even Wrench, found something bigger than our job titles. We weren't just airmen. We were a team that turned a near disaster into a win nobody saw coming. Intel later confirmed Khalid's attack was his big swing, meant to cripple coalition bases across the province. We didn't just save al-Hadid, we broke his whole operation. So what do you think? Was I right to jump in that cockpit, medical orders be damned? Or should I have stayed on the ground? Have you ever had a moment where you had to face your fears to protect someone else? Drop a comment. Share your story. I am reading everyone. If this hit you like it hit me, smash that subscribe button, because there's more where this came from. Let's keep the conversation going.